welcome to a transformative episode of High Voltage. I'm your host. I am best-selling international author Mackenzie Nelson, and I am here today hoping to speak to you about a topic near and dear to my heart, and that is transformation. That's right. Today we are talking all things transformation in terms of spirituality. My book, My Father's Feathers, A Journey of Transformation and Healing. I'm sure you've heard about it, and if this is your first time, you can still grab it up. It's on Amazon right now. It's also available online at Barnes & Noble if you want to snatch it up there. My podcast currently is available through my YouTube channel or on iTunes and Spotify in audio version. And you know, transformation is a word that's in the title of my book, but I really wanted to take the time today to talk about the particulars about spiritual transformation, right? So society is always pressuring us to transform physically. We see advertisement after advertisement for, facial creams, fashion, everything, under the sun to improve our physical veneer. Memberships to gyms are advertised frequently. Hair products, you name it, nail polish. There is someone who is trying to sell you something to up your physical game. And so I want to talk about spiritual transformation. While society may, pressure us to transform physically, have you considered spiritual transformation and the power that could bring to your life, the ability for the spiritual to come in and change everything in your life, to change you from the inside out? Believe me, when you transform spiritually, there will be a physical manifestation of your spiritual transformation. People tell me I glow now when I'm in public. I never heard that before my encounter back in 2019, where I met Jesus, where he came into my bedroom and manifested, and I saw him in a physical presence. Ever since that night, now we're in 2023, I have continued, to press into God, and that manifests on the outside. I'm 41 years old. I've had no work done to my face. I have, hair products that I use. I curl my hair. I use nail polish, and I follow Jesus, and I love makeup, and I don't think that there is anything wrong with that. The problem that we run into as a society is we are relying on, our physical shell to represent us in total. And that's what I have an issue with. Too much emphasis is being placed on our physical representation in this realm, and not enough presence, or not enough is known, I believe, for people to understand how they can transform spiritually. How can you transform from the inside out? One quick way to access your spiritual lifeline, who I refer to as God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. You can do this now in the comfort of your home while you're watching this show. All you have to do is reach out and let God know, what is this spiritual transformation she's talking about, because it comes from him. There is no other way to transform spiritually that it will be a lasting thing is without God. That is not possible. Without God, there is no transformation that is possible in your life that's going to be a long-lasting transformation. Maybe for a time you could feel better, just believing in the power of yourself. But in order to really understand and completely change your life and your thoughts and your dreams, you have to exchange yours for his. So it means reaching out to him and asking for his will to take precedence in your life, and what he wants for you, and what he created you to do, the destiny that he has waiting for you, the amazing, unique, particularly specific plans that he has for your life. He's drawn up all of the blueprints because God is time. He doesn't view time in the limited scope that we see it. He is time. He invented time, so he's already gone behind you. He's with you now, and he's already gone into the future to make a way for you to succeed and claim victory in his name, and to see the plans he has for you to come to fruition in this earthly realm. I think so many times, even as a little girl, it's like, will you take Jesus into your heart in church? And I did. I remember being a very young girl and accepting Jesus into my heart. But I only thought of his impact in the heavenly realm, in terms of like, yay, now I get to go to heaven. Because without Jesus, I can't go to heaven. And that is really the only use, that he had in my life, in the way that I viewed church. And what was being communicated to me was Jesus was only in my life to ensure my salvation for my eternity was secure. But what about the rest of my life? How is Jesus applicable, in my daily life? And this is really when things started to change for me, when I started to view Jesus as an accessible guide, and the Holy Spirit and God in my daily existence. I started asking him questions. I started talking to him while I was driving, while I was sitting at home, before I went to meet a friend, before I went to a doctor's appointment. I started praying and talking to him about everything. And it didn't happen, all at once, where I heard him clear as day. Following the encounter, I heard him very clearly in the following months. But as life wore on, I had to press in. I had to keep that line, that communicative line, open. And honestly, the more I talked to him, the more I started to see him invade my daily life. Every single moment, I see him everywhere now. He is prevalent in my daily existence, which is why I say I am spiritual, right? I am not religious. Religious people tend to define their relationship with God within the four walls of a church. They show up for Sunday, maybe they volunteer for Sunday school, but that's it. They just see God, as an extension of themselves during the time that they are invested in being in a building, when God is everywhere. He is in that church. He is in your home. He is at your daughter's dance lessons. He is at your son's basketball practice. He's in your bad days. He's in your great days. He is always with you, and he is never further than a breath away. Something that has helped me to focus and keep my eyes on Jesus regardless of what the day holds for me. If my circumstances are bad, if I'm struggling a lot in particular, is to just reach out and keep my eyes on him and say, Jesus died for me on that cross, so I could claim victory, not when I'm gone, when my physical presence is no longer in this, earthly realm, invested there fully like it is now, but for manifestation of promises, miracles, things that he has for me now, trusting in him to bring heaven to earth, to invade my life, invade my circumstances. I see visions. I have dreams that sometimes last for years, because God knows no bounds of time as we do in our human terminology. So I can dream in the course of a night and wake up and feel like I was somewhere for, 15 or 20 years. But no, it's been a night, and I'm still, here in this realm, waking up to my family. And I have gone nowhere except asleep. God can do anything. God is amazing, and he's creative, and he is the author of humor and love and light. And I feel this call to urgency for so many people who are letting, their physical shell rule on them and determine who they are, when people have so much more of a capacity than just what they are on the outside. We were made to love. We were made to journey, and we were made to transform spiritually. And what that really looks like to truly transform spiritually, it looks like examining why you are invested in the things you are invested in, and why you go to the church you go to, for example. Are you involved in the community you're involved in at church because your parents went there and you were raised there and now you're raising your kids there? That could be wonderful if you've assessed and already gone through the steps to determine that this is something that was instilled in you that you still agree with and are on board with and feel God still has a purpose for you serving in that particular church. This could be a very terrible thing and could be holding you back from your purpose if you are invested in a church and a community just because your parents raised you to go there and you're still going there raising your kids without thinking, where do I, end and my parents begin? There is an unlearning and an unpartnering that you must do if you haven't done it yet from the way you were taught and raised, because it's so important to examine who you are as a person without the way your parents instilled values in you. Do you just believe in those values because that's what you were taught? Or do you authentically believe in the way you were raised and in the concepts you were raised with because that's what you think? It's so important. When I started to think about what I believed and why I believed it and what I was involved in and why I was involved in it, you could be in the complete wrong profession for yourself, all because, maybe your dad was a lawyer, so you thought that was cool, so now you're a lawyer. Maybe that was never your calling in life. Maybe that's never a part of the plan that God had for you, and maybe things are just going terribly for you within the scope of the job that you are in, and instead of seeing that as an opportunity, to press in and pray and ask God, like, what gives? This is going terribly for me. Doors keep shutting. Like, this job is really dragging me down. It's hard on me. I'm not really feeling the connectedness to it, the purpose that I used to. That could be a sign that, this isn't what God has for you. It might have been what he had for your dad, but not necessarily for you. So it's so important that we take a step back from our societal jargon and, what people say and they put on you like, oh, of course, your dad was a dentist, so you have a family dentistry practice, so you must do dentistry. And you've never stopped to think, maybe the only reason I'm a dentist is because everyone else told me I should be. What do you want to be? It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late, guys. No matter how old you are, you're still here. You're still living this life. So press in. Ask God to change you from the inside out. And I believe he works on everyone's life in different ways because he knows how he made you and he knows how best to communicate with you. With me, it's through dreams, it's through visions. And with someone else, it can be in a completely different way. But I tell you what, guys, he's gonna communicate with you. You will get an answer back if you are brave enough to reach out and grab that spiritual lifeline and just say, God, like, here I am, lay your life out before him and ask him to help you with things. Ask him to speak to you. Ask him to manifest, to show up. And keep pursuing him because he is a God who hides in the open. He is all around us, but he wants us to seek him out. He wants to be pursued. So the more I seek him out, the more I am like a little kid with my faith. Little kids ask questions because they don't know the answers, right? But somewhere along the line in life, we get hurt, we get trampled on, we feel like our heart can get hardened by all of the world and by, the turmoil, the tragedy. How does God allow these things? These things can harden us, can hurt us. But my prayer continually is, God, I'm hurting, I have days where I am just feeling leveled out emotionally. Like, I am just hurting so badly. And I'm like, my prayer is, please, God, don't let me hurt anyone with my hurt, because hurt people hurt other people. And the only way that I am free from that pain, infecting other people is to give it to him and to pray, God, take this from me and heal my heart. And that's where transformation spiritually really starts. And it's a progressive process. The more you battle for your mindset to keep your eyes on God, the world's going to try to turn it, right? And say, hey, You know, you're getting older, you got a wrinkle here, you got a wrinkle there, you need to do this, you need to do that. And while I am not saying I'm opposed to that, and who knows, maybe someday I will invest in that. Not for me, not right now. But the point is, where does it end, right? And that feeling that you're feeling, you know, to transform your face. Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? And what is the purpose? Because with spiritual transformation, the purpose is contentment, right? Satisfaction, peace. And when you feel that peace that passes understanding in a spiritual aspect, you start to feel more confident with your physical shell. He starts to transform your heart so that you understand that this journey in life is far more meaningful than just the shell that you present to the earth. This is a very small part of who we really are in terms of the powerful spiritual beings that he really created us to be. But the emphasis is on the physical, because when you think about it, how much money are businesses making off of putting these messages out there, you know, nationally, internationally, in our communities? There is millions, billions of dollars to be made, you know, when people start to think they're not enough. And, you know, if they could just nip or tuck this one thing, then they'll be more accepted. And I'm not saying that's why everyone does it. I'm just saying, if that is your motivation, there is another way, right, that is much more cost effective for you to feel the same acceptance over who you are. And that tweaking here or there might just be, you know, the indication that you need to go to God with that feeling. Why am I not feeling good about who I am? Why am I not feeling enough? And maybe, you know, maybe he does direct you to a certain gym, or, you know, I work out. I think it's great. I think we should take care of our physical bodies, and there is everyday maintenance that is needed. And if you're not maintaining your body, you're not exercising, you're not eating appropriately, these are steps that you should take, you know, to ensure that you are feeling your best accessible emotional, spiritual self, right? It's also a multi-tiered process to maintain this outer shell, and that varies dependent on who you are and how much you feel like you should invest in different aspects of your own health. That's a personal decision. You have free will to do whatever you feel called to do with your physical shell. I'm just putting out there that the more I connect to Jesus and the more I keep my eyes on him, regardless of how shattering life can continue to be at times, the more I feel better about who I am on the outside. So there is a correlation to a spiritual transformation manifesting into a physical one. I'm still like 100 pounds down from where I was at one point. So I have maintained this, but it hasn't been in my own strength. It has been primarily motivated in the spiritual realm. That's where the physical transformation happened. So I'm trying to tell you, you don't have to spend a ton of money to feel better about your physical appearance. You don't have to buy into the societal pressure, you know, to apply all of these things to your exterior veneer so you feel more valued for who you are, so you feel more worthy. Because regardless of how much work, you know, or money you spend on yourself externally, we're going to get older, we're going to age. It is just a fact of life and why we're here. So if all of your time and your heart and your money and your thinking on is how can I look better on the outside, you're really buying into a much larger manufactured distraction to keep you looking the wrong way, and you're missing the things that matter the most in life, which are the things that money can't buy. The heart, right? The heart of God, the heart of you, the heart of other people. There's so much more to explore and so much more to see spiritually than you could ever fathom or imagine. There is a spiritual realm that you have access to, and all it takes is reaching out in your own home and asking God, I want to feel satisfied, confident. I want to love who I am. And that starts with Him. That starts with that impartation. And when you understand that, you might still have hard days. I'm not going to tell you you won't, because I still do every now and then. But for the most part, I'm tethered, right? I am on solid ground. My foundation is firm. So I might sway to and fro, but ultimately it's God's got me in His hands, and He has you too. You are loved right where you at, regardless of your physical appearance. Don't let the world talk you in to a transformation that is not real. Physical transformation isn't lasting. That's what I mean by it's not real. You can look differently. That's the truth. But that is not something that is going to be eternally sustained. But your spiritual transformation will stand for all of eternity, friends. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope I gave you a little bit more to think about throughout the scope of your downtime. All right, I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you.